It's a $500 billion industry, like internationally. That's wild. Like it's bigger than accounting and legal combined.
Oh shit!
Yeah, it's a monster. Recruiters trying to build a personal brand by using ChatGPT fucking gives me the biggest ick. I can't stand it. I feel like going to town on them every time I see one. Like I literally type stuff up and then I fucking don't send it. He might have a 70, 80, 90k base depending on the agency, but we've got a 22-year-old going to break 150 this year. It's nuts. The value that we can create for that business on not only their bottom line and profits and revenue and all that sort of stuff, but their mental health and their family life. Like it fucking ripples through everything.
There is never going to be an AI system that can have a bullshit radar as impactful as what a human can.
Welcome back to part 2 of the future of recruitment with Harv Powley and Rhyley Hunter from Huntsman Recruitment.
Thank you for having me back.
Fuck, we were going so well last week. We were just pumping through it, and we got halfway through the planning we had on the whiteboard, and we were already an hour in. So we thought, let's chop it up, send him back down to Palmy, get him back up here a week later, and here we are.
So what's changed? You've actually knocked out a 30k since we sat down last week.
I have. My shins are screaming at me at the moment, and I've got the compression tights on during the pods.
So we've got to either filming this at 7:30 a.m. It's a bit early for Rhyley, so I think he went into his wife's wardrobe and picked out
There's only so much the Garmin light can do.
That was a 30k, mate, because that's 2 weeks away from Marathon Day.
Yeah, thanks for reminding me. It was good. I felt good. Like I've done it once before and it was absolutely pouring down rain the whole time. And I sort of half did that as well at the same time. Well, I probably had 3 or 4 hours sleep that night before I ran out there as well. Slept on the lounge. I didn't get kicked out. That was a different story in itself. But all was good. Yeah. Not on the third wife yet. But yeah, there was like pouring rain. So obviously conditions were pretty rough anyway. But this time around, it was like so much better. Just sunshine, like just proper prep. I think nutrition wise and stuff like that as well.
You on
like
the gels?
Sleep. Yeah, bashed out. I think 6 gels throughout that one as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I'm confident for like a couple of weeks' time. I think it'll be good.
Have we got a time target?
Not really. I think I want to do sub 4. I think I can do it, like based on the times that we've done as well. And I think I've done enough in training really to get it there. Like I know I didn't commit to it 6 months ago and like haven't done the full sort of gamut that Harv's has, but yeah, I think I've done enough. Like comparing myself to a few others on Strava.
This sounds like a full fucking Fox News interview. This is marathon running.
I'm going to Runner's World magazine. Call me this afternoon.
You took the old...
What else did you take, Rhyley? 5k splits? Or?
You got the old New Balance fucking 4000s as well. The old carbon fibre puppies.
They should be illegal.
Recruitment must be doing well for you.
Mate, he's cruising along in them like me. I'm running with Jakey and he just keeps like kind of bolting off. And he like turns around after a few times and goes, God, these things are hard to slow down, aren't they?
They are. As soon as you give it a little nudge, just boom, they want to go.
Yeah.
So obviously it's the athlete in them as well, but no, they should be illegal.
Fucking hell. Are they actually legal? Like if you did a world record in it, for example?
Yeah.
Would it go?
Well, no, there's some like take some the other day. There's the Nike Alpha Flies, I think they're called. They're like as for a competitive race or whatever, they're illegal. Well, like Olympic standards and stuff, they can't use them.
I must buy a pair of these and just fucking bowl around them, eh?
You'd be able to do it. Just sign up.
Talking about like buy back your time, Dan Martell. Imagine if you didn't have to walk anywhere ever again. You just fucking ran everywhere. You buy back a good hour a day.
At least.
That hour you're on the phone speaking to clients, getting jobs on, 10x your income. Fucking solved it.
Came over. This is high.
You'd be better off hiring someone else to run for you. I think that's that was the
That's what he wants in the book.
That's the next step. It's the ladder.
Oh
God.
But yeah, no, I think it'll be fine. It was good. Good to get it done. So
love it. And we've got a good one planned in afterwards. There's 35 people coming to Burley Town Hotel for a few beers.
That's just Rhyley's ex-missus now.
That's just my 3 families. I hope you booked another table. Pelly, I have feelings too, mate. It's all right.
Oh my God. Right.
Where's this going today? Where are we today?
Fuck the whiteboard off. Let's have it.
Come back fresh, mate. We should have gone there.
This is the future recruitment part 2. So here's a bit of a recap. We got into Rhyley's story. why he started Huntsman, how he backed himself, what he's trying to build as an agency. Then we spoke about personal branding and authenticity, the importance of that, the fear of kind of posting the content even when you don't want to, the judgment of it. What does authenticity look like? Then we got into AI, which I fucking love, as we all know. Now we're talking about, are you being a niche recruiter or are you a generalist? So Harves, give us the dummy 101 version. What's the difference?
Generalist is effectively you recruit everything, all roles, all industries, all sectors, whereas in some more specialist professions, you'll see niche recruiters who will really nail down into a vertical. So that could be, for example, I do accounting and finance, not in public practice. That's another niche in itself, but I do commercial accounting and finance, even niched into Southeast Queensland, really. We've done roles across Australia, but you even kind of niche within your network, so you can really become the top dog.
Huntsman, what's their style, mate? How do you run things?
So being from Wagga originally when we started, we originally started as Wagga Recruitment. That was our business name.
How'd you come up with that?
Look, there was a lot went into that. To be honest, it was a pretty smart move. It was mainly all due to the...
Where were you based?
A little town called Wagga Wagga, so we shortened it. I was going down the route of Wagga Wagga Recruitment, but I was like, this is a bit of a mouthful, so... Do we need to start again?
Don't say it.
Powley's gone.
We did. Mate, we sat on here. Yes, we sat on this sofa yesterday and did some just some interview content, like Rosie and Jimmy were just firing questions at us and got us talking about like our old scholar days at Cheltenham, and we were like in stitches, like crying. So I think he's still going from that.
That's what you want.
But anyway,
like we said last week,
recruitment.
though, like you're better off just being yourself. The more relaxed you can be, the better it is. And people
Yeah.
just know you for that anyway. So Harvey, you can probably still pull it in a bit though.
Sorry, mate.
Yeah, that's right, Harvey. I mean, your personality. You shouldn't let that out there.
Gotta find it first.
So, yeah, exactly. Which one? We're on the 18th today. But no, we went down that route just because of the SEO, which really worked anyway. So like within a week, we were like bang, top one in Wagga, and sort of in the region anyway. But in Wagga, 70,000 people, you can't really niche out. Like if I just went and said, all right, I'm going to recruit in the accounting field or the e-com space or something like that, obviously you're going to do yourself in pretty quickly. So we were a generalist agency and we still are down that way as well. Like even said that, we don't recruit everything. So if there's a hospitality role comes up, if it's retail, cleaning, like things like that as well, we know what we can and can't do. And we always just leave people with enough information that they can either do it themselves or tap them into the right people that can. But coming up to the Gold Coast since then as well, like I've had a lot of different chats with people like Harvey. It was really good and forthcoming with things and how to niche. Even the likes of Ross Clennett, like he was really handy. And I think like at the moment for us up here, it's more we're still doing generalist work. The main roles, all the roles that I've been doing have been in the insurance space, and that's something that I am really passionate about and I love as well. I think it's a great game. I think if you wound the clock back 15 years ago and I had chose a different path, that's where I would have gone into straight away. I had a job brief. It was only 3 weeks ago with the full HR team at a huge international brokerage, and even after she was like, all right, sell yourself to me, why? And I went through and she's like, fucking, why aren't you a broker now? She's like, you're already, you sound that, you're that keen on it, you know all about it. So I think it's just a really good industry, but at the moment, it's literally just getting the lay of the land. Like, I don't want to niche out. Like, I was literally 4 or 5 months ago, I was about to niche out and go, let's go down the real estate route. Like, I had a background in that. I sort of knew it back to front. I enjoyed those type of roles. Then I had that chat with Ross and he's like, well, like just, pull the brakes a little bit and you need to understand what's happening up there first. And even then, from that 2 weeks of slowing down and reflecting, I was like, there's really not enough work for me to just niche out into real estate only in the Goldie. But I can definitely see the value in it and we will do it at some point up here. I dare say that will be down the insurance path. That's the way I see things going. But yeah, at the moment, we just leave it open to that. But even with Wagga and the clients that we've dealt with before, and I'm just so confident to be able to come in and again make a difference recruiting wise to pretty well any business that we know, or their particular industry or whatnot as well. To me, it's more about like what we do carries across, like our marketing strategies and the way we recruit can carry across multiple different areas. So it's not really specific just to one. And I think if you're using a niche recruiter, if they can't fill that role in 2 or 3 days, like there's something wrong. That's just the way I see it. Like they should, to me, and I could be completely wrong. I don't know niching as well as you blokes do, but you should be knowing you've got a really, really solid talent pool from the get-go that you can tap into. And obviously there's going to be times where you do need to go to market and map everything out completely, like look at all your socials, your Seeks, your LinkedIn recruiter, all that sort of jazz. But to me, that's what I say to clients is like if they can't solve it straight away for you, there's something wrong because they're going to go out and do a full process, which obviously we can do as well. And we've got our own really, our own quirky and different way that we do it.
It's interesting, hey, because for us, we've only been brought up on being niche. We're an office of 30 consultants. Yeah, right. So they cover kind of every industry and even the micro industries within. So I've always been, I guess, construction as a whole, but micro niching down further to commercial. Do a bit of resi, a bit of civils here and there, but commercial construction for Southeast Queensland is kind of what I do. As he mentioned earlier, has got his. And in saying that, we also do left field things as well. If a key client says, hey, can you go and find me what are some random ones you're doing at the moment?
HR managers, head of digital, stuff like that. It's
not our core business, but again, we know the company so well. So 100%. That's half the battle. And then we can just go and use the process and the approach that we've already got and go and find them. But you're so right. I think the beauty of niching is that speed to action. I was kind of sat there going, fuck, I must be shit then 2 to 3 days. Because in construction at the moment, it's so candidate short and there's so much noise around it. There's so many people so many companies looking for people to stand out with the one job that you want to share with the market rather than all of the other jobs. The relationship you lean on and the trust you build up over, for me, 7 years, that's my superpower at the moment. To go, hey, I know you're getting a lot of conversations coming to you, a lot of different jobs. I'm not going to waste your time. This is what you need to have a look at. And people use the weight of that conviction to go, fair enough.
Well, I think, 100%. And I was probably being a bit rough with saying 2 or 3 days, but you know what I mean? Like,
no, he's just nailed your trousers.
But you know what I was getting at with it anyway. It's more like you should have a
pull.
Food. You should be, 10 metres ahead of someone like myself as a generalist to be able to pull someone in like that anyway, or have other avenues to do it. But I think especially what I see from the outside looking into what you guys are doing at Harwell anyway, it's what you can do with your brand and your marketing in really niching out. I think that can make a difference. And it takes time to build all those pools and build that, respect and rapport with people in the communities anyway. But like, I think you guys will definitely get there as well because you've obviously put a clear line in the sand going, this is what we do. It's commercial construction or it's e-com or whatever the spaces are. And then you can really put all your mindset, your creativity in that just in those 2 or 3 sectors, which, again, in 2 or 3 years' time, it'll really set you apart, 100%.
Yeah, let's dig into niching a bit more because there might be people considering recruitment for a career, for example, and they're thinking, how do I niche?
You let up board.
But I think there's different needs for niching in different areas and different even sizes of companies. And the reason I say this is in a geographical area like Wagga Wagga, I think you have to be a generalist. Yeah. Like, if anything, your niche is perhaps the geographical location of Wagga Wagga. You understand the actual place, which seems a little bit different. So you can probably paint that in a good picture. But that's your niche there. And I look to where I'm recruiting commercial finance. A lot of the companies I do support are quite large companies. And by that, I probably mean north of 50 million turnover a year. So they have quite large finance departments. So they need me as a niche expert in finance for the Gold Coast. Mm-hmm. So quite well connected. Like you say, have a bit of a talent pipeline or pool, but can also kind of give them intel on the market, salaries, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then an evolvement I've seen, and it probably took us down the pathway of building out the e-com niche for Harwell, is I started working with a few smaller founder-led companies. And originally those relationships came on through recruiting in finance, which is or accounting, which is my niche. But since then, they've kind of then asked me to be the niche person that understands their whole business, because they're founder led. They don't have an internal recruiter. They don't necessarily have HR or the time themselves to do it. So they've come to me and gone, I want you to be the guy that understands my entire business inside out. And I want you to be the one-stop shop for all of my recruitment needs, because what they're going to get is someone that does genuinely understand the business, the vision. When I hear it so many times, I can actually portray it so accurately. But also someone that can kind of just consistently represent their brand to the market. You look at a larger company that might have a HR department of 20, a finance department of 30. If they're using different niche recruiters in all those sectors, there's not going to be consistency, especially if those niche recruiters are from different businesses. There's not going to be true consistency of your company being represented to the market, which I think is an area for discussion potentially as well.
I agree. So do you mean from there, like you'll build out sort of like that Hayes model where you'll have, you'll cover a lot of different niches within your one business?
Yeah, that's the evolvement for us.
Yeah.
We are building out our current niches further. So there's someone that we're looking to bring on with ads in commercial construction, someone with me in finance. We've now got the e-com business running. There's a guy that I'm hunting down that recruits legal. I reckon I'm messaging him every week at the moment. We're going to bloody get him. We used to work with him before. Like, he's awesome.
Yeah.
And then we've discussed if we find the right person that recruits in HR, or even if it's someone from HR that goes, I want to come and try recruitment, but I know the roles, I know the pain points, I've got connections. That's how we'll look to really kind of grow and evolve this business.
It's a smart move, I think. Like, and you're a one-stop shop, and like you said, you've got all that sort of IP that you've built up and the trust and respect and stuff from that client over the years, and you'll know it better than anyone else. And then obviously, like we were talking about last week with the AI and tech, you can really build out these platforms where they could be asking what would Harvey say in this situation, what would Adam say, or what would this client sort of particularly want, or that sort of jazz anyway. But I think that would be the way for you guys. I would think for most smaller agencies to move forward is to start building out those niche teams, but to be able to service everything in the business.
I think niching's really clever and powerful, even in other industries. Like, I've got a good friend at the moment that's transitioning from being a crane operator. He's doing his finance and broking qualifications, and he wants to go out on his own into broking. And he's currently exploring the idea of niching, of doing finance for tradies.
100%.
For sure.
Because imagine that becomes your kind of personal brand, your identity, rather than you're just another one in the pot, another fish in the pond.
Yeah.
You're the guy that all the tradies go to for finance. You give them the same service, but you're just known as the tradie finance guy.
I think it's particularly powerful if you are a career switcher. Different for us. We were kind of 22, 23 when we started in the real world and got a proper job. So we didn't really have anything to leverage, right? Like, unless making cocktails in a bar.
Yeah.
It's leverageable. Whereas if you, let's say this fella, for example, right, he's a crane operator, been in it for years, he then hasn't got to start from scratch and essentially lose all of that knowledge and equity and time invested in his next career. He can actually leverage that, and that's going to help him then, rather than start from day one in career 2, he's starting a year ahead, 2 years ahead, potentially
100%.
to someone else who's getting into it green.
I think that's the recruitment is an absolutely brilliant career for anyone that does, like, who's has sort of had a bit of an arc or reached the peak of their career, if it's legal or accounting space or like whatever it is anyway. Then, like you touched on, like, they come across and they've got full credibility. Like, to me, if you're going out there, or I was talking to someone yesterday about coaches, for instance. It's like, for me, I look for, if they haven't been there and done that, like, I just won't go there. Like, there's no point. Like, unless they've gone through exactly what I'm about to go through or that next step, it just doesn't sit well with me. I don't know. Like, and it could be proven wrong with that. I know coaching isn't all about having to have done it. It's about the right questions and whatever. But to me, if you get an accountant and transition them into the right recruitment headspace and understanding of how that works, put them out in front of a client, they'll be able to talk their language straight away, like instant credibility, and they just get it. And even candidates' perspective, like, they get it, they understand exactly what's going on. It's like any of us, if we're to do an engineer role, like, we don't really understand what the hell goes on. We can understand parts of it, and really that's our job, is to really unpack that from the client, so we do get as much of an understanding as possible. But if you got an engineer with a recruitment head on their shoulders, like, you combine those two things, fucking bang.
Yeah. I've seen some people do it really, really well. And it's especially in where I think it's super powerful is those careers where a public practice accountant, for example, will have done 4 or 5 years at uni, an extra 2-3 years study and a CPA qualification. So 8 years of study. They're 5 years post-grad working, big hours, busy, but they're still perhaps only earning 100K plus super. They don't want to put all of their knowledge and their hard work and their study to waste, but they're going, fuck, can I just hold on to this career here where I'm getting maybe a 10K pay rise every year if I'm lucky? Whereas you bring all of that knowledge and skills and commitment into recruitment, you work anywhere near the hours that you're working, you'll earn double that, close to double that in year one.
Easily.
And that only goes up and up and up. And along the way, whilst the money goes up because you bill more and you get better, the job gets easier because you've got a reputation. People start coming to you and it just all falls into place.
100%.
I don't know. You can listen to this stuff, and I'm just go, yeah, fuck, I'm going to have a crack.
How you couldn't?
Yeah.
Oh,
so,
yeah, 100%.
Like, we filmed one a few weeks ago about just the foundations of recruitment, what it is essentially, and kind of why we love it. And I listened to it back, and I'm still sat there going, I would dive headfirst in.
Yeah,
like and we didn't lie. We told our truth, why we love it and what it gives you. It's such a good industry because there's so many parts to it, and there's not one type of person who does really well.
Yeah,
like, we've got people in Harwell who. Let's talk about Lana, for example, really process driven, doesn't get too kind of emotional and overexcited on the phone. He's really quite level and just talks to people through the process.
She's got a dark horse, isn't she?
Yeah, really quite calming, but just gets through the work. And then we've got Andy, right, who's a big Labrador and loud as you like. Super.
Hey, old Shag.
Big Shag.
Does handstands around the office when he's not crippled with his back.
But what I'm trying to say is that you can be any type of person and you will find your part of recruitment which suits you to the T, and people will pay you a lot of money for the value you're bringing them.
Yeah, 100%. And that only sort of came to me probably 2 years ago when I was started working with Ross, and a part of our hiring strategy was going through like what sort of people do we hire internally at Huntsman, and one of those were like extroverted. Like that was one of the points, and he sort of goes when he challenged me on that and questioned it, and we sort of unpacked it anyway. And like now looking back, and like the people that we've hired since are more introverted, and they're the high performers. Like they get in, they don't have to, they're more, they can probably build rapport with like a lot more people, like not put people offside, if that makes sense as well, with that full-blown personality. They're more probably process-driven. They think things through a little bit more, and they're methodical. And ever since then, I was just like, it was just an absolute game changer. So you're right, you don't need to be this, like, yes, there's a sales component to it, but you can, like a lot of introverts, I think even like Tucky says, are some of your best salespeople. Like, because they're listeners. It's probably the main thing. Yeah. They'll sit back and listen. They're not overtly talking or controlling the room.
Yeah, Tucky talks about female S-type personalities, doesn't he? Being the best salespeople.
Yeah.
But I think it's really powerful. We're talking about how to build or find a niche. It's so powerful. That, and full transparency, we're looking to grow Harwell probably through transitioning people from an alternative career and give them the recruitment knowledge and tools. And there's a person, I will say person, that we've met because I don't want to get them in trouble, but we asked why they're considering recruitment as a career, and this person's been very senior in their craft.
What's their name?
Kate, lives down in Wagga.
Caitlin Flack.
Take her. Take her. I'll pay you.
But we said, why are you interested? And there was he just spoke for about 45 seconds. And they were like, I've been the person that's been pushed into the interview by the recruiter and a room that I should never have been in because it was a job that was never right. And I've been the person that's walked out of that door and felt purely embarrassed, and I've wasted my time. And I've also been the person that's tried to hire severely high-level people and engaged recruiters to do that and had a really bad service as a result of it. So they were like on both sides of the spectrum or the cycle. Yeah. I've been the person that's experienced the bad side of this industry, and I want to come in and solve that problem. And ads just looked and just went, if we could clip that 45-second thing up and post that on your LinkedIn, you're going to do absolutely fucking fine, my friend.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, I think that will be the way of the future with it. A lot of people will be coming across and working in that particular niche, and like we said, have that full-blown credibility. All they need to do is learn the recruitment aspects. And, people say recruitment's not rocket science, but it really is to a certain point. As you guys know, there's a lot of emotional intelligence that goes into it, and a lot of those sort of things that need to be built up and taught, and how to handle particular conversations and objections that come up, and and influence and all that sort of jazz as well. So I think if you can have as a agency, a really good framework around how you bring people into that sort of ecosystem and get them to a really strong EQ level, as long as they've got the skill-based level from their previous career, they're going to kill it. And like you said, I was 100%, mate. Like accountants it's a great example because they come out of uni and some of them are on 60 or 70 grand. It's like ridiculous. And you build your way into 100, maybe 120 tops in a public practice, and you come across the recruiting and you might have a 70, 80, 90K base depending on the agency, but you'll earn, like we've got a 22-year-old's going to break 150 this year.
So good.
And it's nuts.
Yeah.
And again, but doing all the right things as well, like as in looking after clients, it's not just about making money and billing and whatever as well. Like we just try and really remove that as much as possible. But just from doing the right things and loving what she does and having an impact on people, and we more get a kick out of the Google reviews. Like when we get that, we fucking get around each other. It's all sent around and pats on the back. But again, so she's it's a really, really lucrative career.
What do you think what else do you think it teaches you? Because I think Ads has said on a previous episode, he can go to a barbecue and be in a very confident position of going, I can help every single person at this barbecue, whether it is a nurse, an accountant that wants to change their career or find a new job. And he's like, I can give them career advice, or whether it's a guy that he's never met before, but has got a residential construction business or has a business and needs a new financial controller, he can add value. And I was reflecting on that, and yes, absolutely that side of it, but also just the people skills you learn of how to deal with people. It's just changed my world.
Well, you get a window into the soul of like so many different businesses. It's not funny. That's the way I see it. Like you get to see how they tick. You get to work with a huge variety of leaders, and you get to witness different cultures and what works and what doesn't. And especially some of the times we're coming in where there has been some big cultural issues that have come up, or disagreements in the workplace or whatever as well. And you really get to unpack that with a lot of people. So yeah, you're right. You get to just witness like a big sort of variety of different things at any given time. And I think like being a generalist, we've sort of been able to absorb and soak up a little bit as well. But no, it's an awesome career. Like I wouldn't have changed my sort of path for the world as well. And it's funny how a lot of people just sort of fall into it. But I think with what we're talking the last 10 minutes, there really is a market for people to see what this can do and how this can change their lives as well, and not particularly fall into it, but choose this as their own path. And because a lot of people, you're never at school going, I'm going to get out and be a recruiter.
You just don't know what it is, though, right?
No, exactly. I'm still trying to work it out.
It's bizarre, though, because you can say that. And I think sometimes, even wider than recruitment, salespeople in general are perhaps looked down at potentially by some people that have gone and got a career or a profession. But they're salespeople that are earning $500K to $1 million a year. And are the backbone in some sense of the economy. Like without salespeople, sales don't get made. So
yeah, exactly.
It's bizarre to think that such a lucrative role or industry isn't spoken about or taught.
I think it's like anything, right? You get tarnished with the brush of the bad 20%.
Yeah.
And that's any industry as well. Like you see fucking TV shows where doctors are killing people on purpose, but you still go to the doctors and believe what they're going to say. I watch a lot of Criminal Minds.
Jeez, I thought you were just going to say like, the accountant that fudged the tax return.
He's gone dark.
Anyway, that's a good point to make.
Yeah.
But there's also a lot of people doing the right thing, right? And they're typically the ones who are over a long period of time making the most money and being the most successful. Because yes, you can make a quick buck in recruitment by being a bit of a shifty twat. Yeah. You can, unfortunately. But that
Rhyley said it for 10 years.
But it has changed my name 4 times.
That's why the generalist.
Exactly. I'm going to try this now. I can't step into accounting anymore. I'm fucking done.
So it's like anything, right? And I think if I guess we're kind of getting back into why I should join recruitment, but to close this little section out, if it's ever something you've ever considered, go and speak to 5 people who are in recruitment, or ask 5 people who know who they know are in recruitment as well, and just find out what it is. Do a bit of learning, get some education on what the industry actually is, what the good ones do, what the bad ones do, and kind of make a really educated decision of whether it's the right one for you, rather than just go for the lazy pub chat. Oh, that recruiter fucking took 20K off me, or whatever the shit chat is.
Yeah. 100%. And I think that's like the difference from probably even 10 years ago, where the choice and who you could go into, like it's either one of these bigger players, which we won't mention names, but you could go into that and that's it. You're in a team with 100, 200 other people. You're a bit of a number. It's a bit of a churn and burn, like they're throwing out your figures on a TV screen at the end of the day saying, you haven't met this KPI or whatever, like a bit of a shame sort of system. Where these days you've got these chance to come into smaller teams like we both got as well, that you aren't a number, like, and you can have a really, really good time, like the great cultures, you got all the social media pumping, like it's a good, fun environment. And again, that opportunity to earn. And a lot of people don't even realise as well, it's a $500 billion industry, like internationally. That's wild. Like it's bigger than accounting and finance combined. Accounting and legal combined.
Oh shit!
It's a monster. So it's definitely a really, really good career path. And I think, like we've all touched on, like I think the more people can get out of what they're doing now and use all that experience and build that credibility, like huge career for them.
Where the penny dropped for me with recruitment, because I've been honest, and there were times with our previous employer that I probably didn't believe enough in what we did because of the way in which we were doing it. I genuinely questioned whether I had a future in this space. Obviously, I've grown to love it and understand the value we can provide. But the penny drop for me is when you listen to all these super successful people on podcasts like Stephen Bartlett, Alex Hormozy, Dan Martell. What's the number one thing they say is the most important thing in business? It's people and hiring. Like they are the absolute top thing that you can ever get right or wrong. And when you hear guys like that saying things like that, I'm like, okay, we are needed, and there are going to be more good recruiters needed because the industry is massively shifting.
100%. I remember like might have been my first placement. I don't clearly remember, but we charged like 8%, might have been a $7,000 fee, and all I did back then was put an ad on Seek, and it might have even been in the paper, like I said last week, but it came through. I met with them, sent them to the client. It would have been my first placement, I reckon. And then I was like, "Fucking what?" Like I did that, and I got paid $8,000 for it. Like, fucking, this is robbery. And then like that's what I thought at the time, because again, like you said, though, I share this story with every new team member we have, because I'm like, I didn't believe in what we did. Like back then, I was just like, this is like ridiculous. Where now I love it, because I love that the market's actually tightened up and that you need to be, doing all these different things. It's not like shooting fish in a barrel anymore. It has, gotten a lot harder, and you got to be smarter and again, obviously build a really good personal brand and use everything you can to get the right result as well. But that's why now, like, our fees are double, if not triple that now. And I can like fully sit down in front of a client. And I always say this with the team when you start talking about finances, like you're looking them dead in the eye with full conviction on this, because I was like, I truly fucking believe it. Like the value that we can create for that business on not only their bottom line and, profits and revenue and all that sort of stuff, but their mental health and their family life. Like it fucking ripples through everything. And I could talk to it with passion, like I said, with conviction, because I know that difference that we can make. But it pisses me off, like you said, those 20% that do screw the industry. And then a lot of people you see on LinkedIn, they're just fucking ragging on recruiters, where you're like, you want to get on there and say you Pete, but you can't. You've just got to do it through your actions and through people like ourselves in the industry. And I think, it'll slowly turn.
The best one is when you've like been prospecting a decision maker for years. They won't give you a bar of it, and then all of a sudden they get made redundant or leave, and all of a sudden they're your best mate, and it's like, oh, we're helpful.
Fucking, hold on,
we're helpful now, are we?
Remember that post in fucking 2019?
This one's moving on to, and it kind of ties back into the opposite of AI, right? So automation, basically taking tasks away from you so you can do other things. This goes into what the other things could be. So the old school mentality, which is old school in a good way, is cold calls, kind of meetings, face-to-face, relationships. The new school, if you want to call it that, is people can't hide behind emails and LinkedIn and not really do the grunt work and do the level of just graph that needs to be done to have that cut through. So I want to kind of talk about what's the right way to do recruitment in for now or in the future, do you think?
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Two Blokes, One Business podcast.
Now, apart from being world-class podcasters, we also run a recruitment agency called Harwell.
If you're keen to learn a little bit more about what we do, then head over to our Instagram @Harwell Group and check us out.
back to the app?
I think it's a bit of a mix of both. Like I'd never done a cold call in my life until 6 months ago. And even now, like we've as a business, we've been pushing through and doing them as well. And like obviously with the help of Swish, so they've been brilliant in making sure it's ours and it doesn't feel like that as well. And we're doing it for the right reasons. But a part of me still, like, there's still that resistance when I go to do the calls as well. Because I'm like, as for myself, if I get the call, I'm on the other end of it. I'm like, can wrap this up, mate. Like, no matter who it is or what it is, I'm just like fucking filthy at myself for answering that private number or whatever. Like, I'll sit there in the car actually when I'm driving around with my wife, and I'll be like, it's a random number calling, and she's like, "You're going to answer it?" I was like, "Okay," and I'll hit the button, and like, "Fuck."
Yeah, it's got me.
So I don't know, but again, it's all how it's done. And I think, like, even with what Apple have bought in now, or whenever that kicks off as well with that screening for cold calls, it will be interesting to see what that does to every sales industry. But I think, like, we've got a sort of different, unique way that we do it at Huntsman that really turns these things into warm leads and warm calls as well. So I think it's just being smart and being able to, lean on different ways of doing things to get that same result. But a part of me is always, even in recruitment, like you hear people all the time say, not even sales wise, but if you're talking to a client or a candidate, like pick up the phone.
100%.
And I'm still a big advocate of that. But it's slowly starting to shift now to go, you know what, we've got to use things like text and WhatsApp and all that sort of jazz because of the rate of reply and response that you get back from those things, instead of, for example, if we were trying to track down 5 labourers for a job next week and we're hitting the phones hard, no one's answering the phone. We were doing that, say, 12 months ago, where now we'll literally start with a text message to begin with. It's like, all right, spray that, 10 or 15 people with a text. And then again, you've got to be smart on how you word that text as well to get the response rate. What? Unique New York. But yeah, you got to play around with that to get it right. And then we make the calls from there as well. Because a lot of the time you just don't get people answering the phone. So you've got to be adaptable and change and just test different things, I think, anyway. So, but yeah, I think it'll be a mix. What do you think?
Me, I think face-to-face is super important, and that's why niching in Southeast Queensland gives us the luxury of being able to speak to people. I just find that the level of care you build for each other, the level of trust, the level of understanding, the knowledge, you can't get that. A Teams call, you can probably do a decent job at it. You might get 75, 80%. But if you can actually sit down with someone, and even there's something making that time investment to drive. I know you've got a story, Harv's, about the barring fella last week. Like, if hey, Mr. Client, I know you're in Brisbane an hour away. I'm going to get in the car at 5 a.m. on Tuesday, and I'm going to drive up and come and see you because it's important for us to have that kind of contact. That just shows, okay, you're not there to make a buck. You generally want to go deeper than the surface level, understand my business, understand what the process is going to be, what we're looking for, where we're going. And again, it's what I enjoy. So we're talking about Dan Martell and the green high value stuff. And being an extrovert, I get energy from meeting new people and speaking to people and learning and getting that kind of rapport and building a connection. So the more I can use AI to do some of the manual stuff where I'm clacking the keys, to then be out schmoozing with coffees and iced lattes and having almond croissants.
He fucking loves it.
What a fucking life that is.
He loves it, honestly.
You got to pull your head in before the wedding, boy. you got a shred coming up.
It's so powerful. Like Ads referred to, I had a meeting in Byron last week, the CEO of one of Australia's leading clothing brands. And I knew the CFO, and I said, look, I want to come and recruit for you across the whole business, pitch the new e-com niche. He's like, I'll try and get the CEO here. And I said, perfect, I'll come down. We're going to have lunch at the pub. And the CEO said, mate, good on you for coming down. He said, if you'd have asked for a video call, I would have said no. He said, but the fact that you wanted to come down here, sit face to face and actually learn about us and our business, he's like, I'll give that person an hour of my time any day of the week. We walked out of that meeting with 2 jobs on. For us as a business, it's potentially $45,000 of revenue from one face-to-face meeting in Byron. Now, you could have an AI bot punch out 300 shit scripted initial cold calls. You're not generating 45K of revenue that's going to create long-term relationships as well. Yeah,
100%. And that's where I think, like, even us being, I guess, like regionally based or country sort of, I guess you could say as well, but we're all about that. Like we would do pretty well, probably 80% of interviews are all in person. Client briefs, like every one of them would be in person unless you're 3 or 4 hours away or something comes up, or I always say to the team, or you need to do it that day. Like if you can get a leg in and go, right, we'll do the brief now like this, but we're coming down on Thursday to do a site visit and meet you and your team. But yeah, it's definitely important. I couldn't believe it when I moved up here, and even speaking to people like, especially in Brizzy, saying that people would just take briefs over the phone. I was like, fucking what? Like, it's just laziness, and like no wonder the industry gets a bad name. Like you can't take a brief over the phone. You need to get there in person, unless you've already got that established relationship. Say with the example you just gave as well. You've been there, you've met with them before. So then if time constraints and all that sort of come up, if it's 2 months' time, they're like, look, I'm just happy, let's go jump on a Google Meets, take the brief. You know us, you know the business already, but you still got to go through that process like to get it right. But yeah, I can't believe the amount of people, and I think that's what will set you guys apart and us or the better agencies, is because you'll take the time to go out there and actually to get to know them. It's not this transactional sort of rubbish where you just like taking a brief on the phone. It's just absolute
There's so many benefits to it as well. Like the Byron example, right? You took Katie down with you, who's then got to have a day out of the office, right? And go to Byron. And she's working. How cool. We took Rosie.
Yeah. The energy was awesome.
Yeah, Rosie's our market coordinator. So she's getting content for the day. So even if you walked out of there with no jobs, Katie's got a pep in her step because the director's taken her on this big client meeting. Rosie's got all this content and footage that we can repurpose and reuse. And again, it's what people want to be doing. They don't just want to be just punching the phone and smacking emails out to people and trying to get a bit of a bite and just doing surface level. It's a surface level job. So it's, I guess what I said a minute ago about recruitment is a style for everyone. I'm sure there is a style for it, and people can make a good bit of money. And if they don't really like speaking to people, probably not sure it's the right industry for them. But if they do want to do recruitment, they can make a buck that way. But it's fucking not for me.
Yeah.
One of the most important things about face-to-face in recruitment, and it's something I always say is our superpower, it's that bullshit radar. There is never going to be an AI system that can have a bullshit radar as impactful as what a human can. And I'm thinking back to an instance last week where one of our team met with a candidate for a registration on a job, and he's barefaced lied to her the entire time because he's received a job brief and he's able to manipulate his resume and his experience and pre-script answers through a video call because of that. Now, as humans, we're able to go, what he's telling me he's done with what his resume says, it doesn't actually line up. But an AI bot that's just kind of saving you time, it's not going to do that, because we're obviously seeing the rise of these companies saying to internal teams, like, we can do all the hiring for AI bots for you. Like, brilliant, well done, mate. Like, it's you can't call bullshit radar. It's so easy for most people now operate off 2 computer screens. I've got my video call here with Rhyley, and I've already put your job brief into ChatGPT and said, give me the best interview answers based on this job brief, and 100%. I can just read from it. I've heard stories of candidates doing that in interviews with clients. AI can't track that, mate.
And you can't do that face to face.
And I think that's like, as a skill, like, exactly. But like as a skill, as a recruiter, like, that's what really separates the good from the great, is that ability to read people and understand if someone is bullshitting or what's going on as well, and just be able to read. Again, that's a really, really hard thing to train into someone. I think you've either got that or you don't. Like, I could be completely wrong, but for me, the best ones that I've ever worked with, you can tell they fucking know. Like, very early on in the piece, you can tell. And I'll sit on interviews with new starters with us, for instance, and after I'm like, what do you think? Like, I already know straight away within even a few minutes sometimes. And they'll unpack it straight. If they like talkable language from the get-go, I'm like, fuck, we are on here. Like, you're going to be an absolute gun. Like, take like Laura and Ellie, who we got at the moment, I can just tell from the get-go, there's something there that they get. And especially, like, again, you don't give them the answers after. We're like, tell me about that. Like, what else did you pick up? What else? What else? What else? And then in the end, you're going, yes, great. Like, we're on the same page. That's definitely a no. Or you need to get back on the phone. Or, but yeah, I think that's a hard thing to teach. But unless it makes it harder, like you said, if you're not face to face and in person. So yeah, but I reckon I don't know, my whole take, even on social media and stuff, I think it'll just flip on its head.
How do you mean?
Well, I think in, like, say 10 years or so, it'll just, you already start seeing it now with people dropping off from Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, or having these, extended breaks from social media. Like, I think we all inherently know that this isn't good for us and this isn't real life. And all your friends online and the back and forth and that, it's all bullshit. Like what's real is what's in front of you and what you can actually see and touch and whatever. Like obviously you got to be careful about what you touch, Harvey. But you can't stop. But do you know what I mean? You've got to, I think those sort of things will start, people will have that awareness more and more into the future, especially the younger generation coming through, and we'll start to fall away from it, I think, anyway. I think we spoke about it last week, but that's where those face-to-face events or podcasts, for instance, and things like that, where the more long-form content, I think, will come into play. But even podcasts, again, like they're doing it now, like they can, deep fake those as well. Like
it's frightening, isn't it?
Yeah. So like, people can get all this content now that you guys have and create a conversation between you and, Powley doing whatever you're going to
probably be more insane.
Turn into some OnlyFans content the way you go. Like, you don't know.
That's what I want to cover is probably the ideal size of the future agency. Again, it's quite well documented on the financial reports of all these big globals, and they're hurting. They're in a bit of pain.
Yeah.
Right? Their figures are way down, and it's hard to really see where that's going to come back for them, because as that's going on, there's more people like us three starting these small agencies and then getting a bit of wind in the sail and growing and taking more market share. So what's the right size? Is a one-man band with an AI stack going to be able to do $1 million, $2 million bucks? Do we need to get a team of 10? If we do, what's kind of the makeup of that business as well? What's the optimal recruitment agency of the future?
Well, bigger is always better. It's just what I've heard.
Not from you.
I usually say to make myself feel better.
Should have got bigger jeans, mate.
Except for jeans. There's a caveat there. Look, I think I don't know, even say personally for me, the last 5-10 years, I've always had plans of having, I don't even really know why. It's funny when you unpack it, like, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 people, but you're like, why? It's just a fucking headache. Yeah. But really, that's all it is. Like, the more people you get on, the dynamics change each and every time, which is great for your own personal growth. But, obviously, even you put more people on, cash flow does tighten up as well, and that's a long-term commitment to a salary and commissions, and like, as you guys know. So it's not as easy as just building 5 or 10 or 15 or whatever, or just having a number. But I think even the last 6 or 12 months, my mindset has changed around it. And I had a chat with one of the team members yesterday saying, I think it's more about, it's like probably that Dan Martell method as well, from me reading that book, going, that's the way I'd go down, is getting like an EA on for myself or on for Katie as well, which we've done so far the last 2 months. But then it's like, how do we then build that out for the entire team? So every recruiter, has a support network for themselves, be that like a tech stack, like your Quills, Loxos, all that sort of jazz, automate everything you can, but then physically have someone there, either virtually, like I know some agencies are doing and doing really, really well, or and again, an assistant sort of by their side to do it. But I think you'll find these smaller teams will outplay the larger ones, which obviously you're already seeing, like you said, where these either one-man bands, but I think ideal size for me would be even like 5 to 10. It's manageable leadership and culturally and all that sort of jazz as well. But you can literally take things nationally or internationally these days with that small of a team. But it's about getting the right people in those right roles. And as soon as you know that it's not right, like, they've got to go. You can't hold on to them any longer. So I think it'll really come down to the quality of people, which, as we spoke about before, I think pulling people from particular industries and then putting them in a niche is probably going to be where it's at. And that's where they'll be successful. They're successful. You're successful. Clients win. Everyone wins. What do you think?
I think it's going to shift towards the one man or woman bands, or even the smaller boutiques. And I think we're already seeing that happen. I'm hoping that recruitment can kind of go on the same path that real estate has, in the sense of it being a bit more of a sexy job, where people, we spoke on stage recently at an event, and I said, you can probably tell me the name of the real estate agent that sells all the houses in your suburb, but you probably can't tell me the name of the real estate agency they're working for. So that push on personal brand aligned with consumer behavior, the way people like to be serviced, I think we're going to see a real rise of people being able to come into this industry and do really well. You learn recruitment, but you've got a background in accounting. You're talking about a $500 billion industry. You want to make $500K a year, you need 0.00000% of that revenue.
Exactly.
And there's going to be, even just in Australia alone, the reports that we're seeing of what the big guys are losing, there's going to be billions or millions, if not billions of revenue up for grabs just in Australia alone. Unemployment's not rising. People aren't becoming easier to find. We're just going through a bit of a shift in how we do find them and how people are choosing to partner with recruiters. And I think the big guys that obviously control the power and the media somewhat are creating this false sense of the market shifting or the market's changing, because you only see those big guys pumping out all their losses and the media jump on that. You don't see people talking about Harwell and the growth they've had from year 1 to 2 or Huntsman. So I think it's somewhat skewed in that sense. But I do just think the industry is going through a pivot that will lean heavily towards those kind of smaller boutiques.
And calling it out as well, if we'd have decided to go, let's stay at the kitchen table, and now with the AI stuff we're going to be implementing, we'd be a way more profitable business in terms of percentage of our revenue. Obviously, you make a decision to grow, which, as you mentioned, Rhyley, you've got cash flow, you've got to get a bigger office, you need more computers, more fucking licenses, all of that stuff. The idea is then that investment's going to turn around, and the bigger revenue you do, the profit margin will kind of catch up and you'll make more money. But if you are that accountant, you can go and start an agency relatively straightforwardly. You can get an AI stack that's going to do a lot of the manual lifting for you. Every bit of education you need is out there for you to go and find and consume. And the margin will be fucking 75, 85, 90% of every dollar you make, you'll be keeping for yourself. So the opportunity is incredible. And on the flip side of that, if you want to go and grow as well, there's people out there helping you to do that too. And if you can get to that goal, which it feels like we get close halves and it moves further away every time.
What do you mean by that?
The number of people. So we've got 8 at the moment, including us two. That's going to be 10 by January. Which is a lot of growth.
11. By Jan.
Okay, 11 by Jan.
What's the planning look like before you do that?
SOPs, processes. We've learned a lot over the last year of people who we hired and didn't set them up for success. More of a thorough interview process at the front end as well to make sure, or at least increase the chances of getting the right people.
Isn't that a big one? Like, I think as you grow as a business owner and a leader and stuff anyway, like when you get people in, you think you've got everything down pat and you're sweet. And then that's where I see businesses, not just in recruitment, but going wrong, where they don't reflect on what they could have done better. They don't own what they could have done. It's all just like blame. Where, but it's funny, like looking back on me now and people that I've had in the business over those 10 years, I'm like, wow, I was a fucking absolute amateur of how I'd handled things. Or like I get embarrassed thinking about like where the business was at even 2 years ago. Like, you feel like getting like, come and have a look now. Like, see how we've grown, see what we've done. I'm not like, but it does. It definitely comes into play.
I think I think the industry's changing as well, in the sense of, I think there's more smaller guys that are happy to kind of collate and just, I don't know, build a bit of a relationship. Like going back 5 years ago, would you have had three recruitment agency owners from 2 different agencies sat on a podcast sharing their successes and secrets when they operate in the same patch? Like, I don't think you would have, because you have made
scarcity mindset.
It's that scarcity mindset. But now I think there's a community where you could be a one-man or one-woman band and club together with 2 or 3 other people in the same office, because you're all in different sectors, and you also then still get that kind of culture as if you were part of a larger business. And that's a lot more receptive now. Whereas, I think back 3 years ago, we were kind of brainwashed that our competitors were the enemy and it should be avoided at all costs, where really the 2 or 3 competitors I'm up against in finance in this local market, I've done it for a lot longer than what I had. So I actually thought, well, I'm probably going to try and fucking learn a little bit off them back at the start of my journey.
Yeah.
And I think now with the way we've done marketing and social media, they could probably be learning some stuff off us.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's for the betterment to the industry as well. I think talking about that shit 20%, if you can kind of get in people who come in for the right reasons and want to do a really good job, naturally that bottom 20% will just have to fall away.
Yeah.
Because there'll be no pie for them to
exactly.
kind of eat as well.
And that's where even things like AI, like, yes, it's going to change the game and already has, but if you're a numpty and you're still like, you don't know what to put into these things and whatever as well, like, you're still going to look like an idiot. Like the messages and the emails and the automation that's going to be going out there, it'll still feel transactional. So if you're really intelligent and creative and you know what to do with this sort of stuff and like how to word things, and that's where the gold will be as well. So I think people that do have that creative mindset, and again with that intelligence there, and can combine those two and gel it all together, like that's where you'll get success with tech. Like apart from that, it's just the same old shit that goes out. Like, and you know it, but that's going to be I think the success metric is like how you can make it feel very, very, very authentic and very much like an Adam or Harvey or Harwell over just a direct message that comes from any other recruiter.
Goes to 1,000 people.
Yeah. And what about like with your bit, like where do you see as well, like that, like we talked about before with your, like the staff wise, like numbers and stuff as well, like where do you guys sit with that? Like are you looking 11 by January, but is there plans to go 20, 30, or do you think you'll cap it with?
I think 12 is probably the number, would you say?
I think so. For this time next year, I think we'll be sat with 12, and I probably couldn't tell you what would happen beyond that because we don't know what the landscape looks like with 12 people.
Yeah.
One of the reasons we rebranded into the Harwell Group as such, and then those smaller divisions underneath, is to give us the capability to grow those individual divisions like they're their own business and still provide that niche level service within those business units. That probably gives us more scope. But again, we might hit 12 and go, this is us. Daniel Priestley talks a lot about, he said 13 is the dreaded number, not because it's unlucky, but in a business, he's like, when you have 12 people, for whatever reason, you are just one team.
Yeah.
He's like, when you hit 13, you are forced to split. He's like, you have a 7 or a 6 or 3 smaller groups. He's like, and I don't know why. He's like, but it just splits a business. So,
well, I think it's like 80 to 90% of recruitment agencies don't get over 5 staff. So if you're getting over that and doing well and still profitable, like you're in a small percentage of Australia as well. But
we're not profitable, mate.
We
got loads of people though.
I was wondering why the lights are on. But what else do you think changes, like with that, sort of for other agency owners or business owners that go from 2 or 3 to 12 as well? Like what changes with you guys as leaders?
We're lucky because there's 2 of us. We think we share that a fair bit. I'm not really a people manager, so that's something I enjoy so much. Where Harv's more nurturing. I'm probably more the recruitment geek who just loves implementing process and just finding that 1% and adding in a stage here to improve the end result. So I naturally kind of gravitate towards more the ops side of the business, where Harv's more the people manager and kind of the team manager, which is good. Like having to do both sides, fuck, I'd struggle. Because people will go, fuck, you're a twat, I don't want to work for you.
Yeah. So is there a lot of like planning between you two to work that out? Like how does that look with 12 compared to 6 to...
Yeah, we probably sat down. We came to a head, not in the sense of with each other, but of what we do next, maybe 3-4 months ago. And we sat down with Matt Cossins and did a big whiteboard session. It was like, what do we want from this longer term and what do both pathways look like? And we've probably had differing views maybe going into the room, but then as we always do, we landed on the solution where both of us were kind of happy. And what we landed on was growing the business and being able to release ourselves somewhat. But it was like, okay, what does it look like at the end goal of growing that business? What does ads love doing? What do I love doing? And then with this end goal that we've got of growing the business, is there an outcome where out of the CEO founder role, I can do the shit that I like and Ads does the shit that he likes. And we're
hire someone to do the other bits.
We're quite lucky that the bits that we do love are different with each other. 100%. So it was quite easy on the whole to split those up. We've had discussions of changing structures in terms of reporting lines when a lot of people report into me, and even from a billing perspective, this is to free Ads up to just go and be the the 1.5 million biller that he desperately would love to be, knowing that my billings will probably have some sort of a potential impact as a result of that. So it's just having those discussions up front, making a plan for it rather than just fucking fumble as you go along, and then you end up 100%. Going, shit, oh, you're not billing enough. And I'm like, yeah, well, I'm doing all the people management.
And I think 100%, like the thing you can always sort of plan and project into the future as well. But the biggest thing is like that reflection piece. I think if it's a week or a month, I think we touched on it the last one as well. But that's because you've got to commit to something and go down one path and like just take action and go, fuck it, that's it. Let's try it. And then you'll get feedback that comes to you from whatever decision you've made anyway. So then it's been able to reflect on like, fuck, is this working? Is this not? Getting feedback from your teams and all that sort of stuff. And then like changing and adapting quickly, which I think smaller businesses, smaller agencies will, like you said last week, be able to do a lot better than these bigger ones.
Love it.
I think the thing about taking action is so important as well, is we'll do this now, this is the plan, and we'll run it until we get better information to show actually we shouldn't, and then we'll readapt again and we'll take action on that. But I think that's one thing that's been the hallmark of these 2 years so far, is we just fucking go for it. Yeah. And then we learn on the way and we build the plane while we're flying it.
Yeah.
That's it. Mate, we've got a quick fire round for you.
Oh, Jesus. I don't like these ones.
Don't worry, it's all recruitment focused.
I'd rather it not be.
What's the worst trend in the industry?
Let me quick fire, mate.
I'm like, I fucking hate these things. Can we cut this?
Nah, it's all stated.
What's the worst trend? Actually, I think recruiters trying to build a personal brand by using ChatGPT. It fucking gives me the biggest ick. I can't stand it. I feel like going to town on them every time I see one. Like I literally type stuff up and then I fucking don't send it. People are like, yeah, you be warned. I'm fucking ready to fire off.
Just get it out.
No, but it does. It just pisses me off. I'm just like, I feel like I just get so cranky about it. I'm like, you can just tell what's ChatGPT made and whatever as well. And these people are just trying to come in and do their 5 posts a week, and it's all generated through that as well. It's not really their point of view. And you can tell even you'll speak with them at an event or at a podcast like this, and they're completely different to who they are online, because you're like, you wouldn't even know what that fucking word means. Like, and you're putting that like, anyway, pissing me off. But that's
Love it.
Mine's kind of similar to that, to be honest. It's people taking the quick, easy route rather than actually doing the graft and the hard yards and making a long-term thing. I think that's exactly that. People go, oh, no, I need to build a personal brand because Rhyley said it on the podcast. Okay, let me just go on ChatGPT and that can build on for me. But it's just not the way to do life, is it?
But because 100%, you got to build it from experience. Like if you have been in that situation, like we said about credibility, like you've got that credibility to actually talk about that. You can't just
fake it,
read a fucking book and then develop a post about it and away you go. Like it doesn't make sense to me. So that fucking annoys me.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can tell.
You don't feel too strongly about that. Most underrated recruiter skill.
Oh, good question.
Underrated recruiter skill.
Question. You wrote them.
I think that emotional regulation to me is the biggest thing. Not only as a recruiter, but especially when you move on to leadership, or like what you guys are about to experience with going, increasing your team and everything as well. Like being able to, because then that's when you do get a lot more pushback from people, like different ideas, different personalities come in.
Yeah.
Dynamics change all the time in businesses. That's what you see all the time. And being able to regulate yourself. Like if something is going on, you're getting all this feedback from people, and it goes against, either your values or where you see it, your vision, or it's been misconstrued or taken out of context or something. It's being able to like keep calm and stay grounded and being able to take that information on, but not respond to it emotionally or react to it emotionally, like rather respond.
Yeah, I think that's a huge one. As soon as I was able to learn that it wasn't personal, like even when you got something shit happened, counter offer, whatever it might be, I used to sit on them for days and waste weeks. It was probably when we started Harwell and we were working in Ads' kitchen and being so close to each other and just us two in there, because he's super impressive at that. Like nothing rattles him. That's where I kind of really picked that up. And
where'd you get that from?
So I think it's just the way I kind of live life. I'm pretty just black and white, logical.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, did we do every single step as well as we could? Yes. One for the recruitment gods. If we didn't, great. That's what we'll learn and improve and go next time.
I think they're called narcissistic traits.
There we go, mate.
Yeah.
No, it's fair. Yeah. I was going to touch on before. I was thinking about it on the weekend. I saw your post though from a couple of weeks ago when I think you hit your 2 years, and you were saying about your nephew and your sister back home. Like that was, I love that, mate. Like that's, I wanted to say, like, take my hat off to you anyway. I think that's brilliant to be able to do that. And another thing that recruitment can do is give you that financial freedom to do that. But that's fucking amazing.
Oh,
Like,
it's the proudest thing I've done.
Yeah.
You know, like, and how good is that? I can be 29 and be able to provide that support. And hopefully that's the start, right? The idea is we're doing all this stuff to keep growing, keep getting better, have more resources to do more stuff. But no, thanks, mate. That's nice.
and imagine like just like what your sister would feel by that, like in your nephew, like as they grow up as well, to look back and be like, look at, Uncle Adam. Like it's fucking wild, mate. But I love that sort of stuff. So yeah, I wanted to say I forgot about it before.
Thanks, brother.
Yeah, good on you.
I feel like the cameraman in a Paul Bongiorno.
Well, I'm not Johnny Sins, am I?
Oh, shit.
Oh, God. Funniest story in recruitment.
I think there's so many. I was thinking about that the other day, actually. I was like, oh, shit, when people ask me this, I just don't know, because I think, especially like 10 years, it just goes that quick, but feels like a long time. There's just so many things happen every day. Like you get mad stuff. Like I remember a labourer a few years ago. He was really, really good, like killing it on site, great feedback. They just did a fresh slab they'd poured as well. So, of course, he draws a dick in there in his name. And you're like, fuck, mate, like, come on. So he was gone. Can't use him again. Yeah. And I was like, you get the urge to do it, like I would too.
Don't put your name on it though, mate. Fuck it.
Like, yeah, so anyway, but
That's a good one.
apart from that, I think even my early days, like when I was, smoking weed and everything as well, and it would impair my memory and ability to like recall things. Like looking back, I didn't realise it, but I remember one client visit Katie and I went to, and even on the way out there, this truck had like cut us off and like flicked up a rock onto the windscreen. I was just saw red. And Katie's like, what's going on? I was like, fucking, I like went up to pull in front of him and like give him like, and she's like, what are you going to do? Like I pulled over. I was like, I don't fucking know. But anyway, I got out. But anyway, got to this client appointment, and I was asking her a question, and she'd start talking, and then I'd be like, what were we talking about again?
Fuck.
And then she's like, okay, did it. And it happened like 3 or 4 times, like on the trot. And Katie's like, what the fuck is going on with this bloke? But
Cooked your brain.
hey,
Cooked your brain.
yeah, just done. But yeah, maybe that's the reason why I can't recall my funniest moment. But yeah, there's shit that happens all the time in recruitment. I think that's why there's like be 100 things.
Yeah.
Should have written them all down.
Yeah, love it. The one recruiter that you rate.
I'd say I never saw him in his prime, like actually recruiting, but Mitch Sullivan, who's that recruitment copywriter guy I mentioned in the first potty. He's probably the one that had the biggest influence on me from the get-go, in terms of like my style of how I do things and how I like my personal brand and how I write copy and all that sort of jazz. He was just really, really influential with that, and probably just allowed me to sort of come out of my shell and actually be myself, because a lot of the times I'd sort of pull back on that first 3 or 4 years when I was with the other agency. It was just sort of scripted, post a PD online and, good luck. Where I think I just loved how he was just so black and white. He would give it to people online. He'd question things. He'd challenge things, sort of all in a nice way. But he's really, really smart and clever. And that's the way I try and do business now is, pull on those sort of traits from him, I think, anyway. But again, I didn't see him recruiting, but I'm sure he would have been a gun if he's got that sort of knowledge and wisdom behind him.
Love it.
How about you guys?
Good question. Mick Donaghy is very good in construction recruitment. He does mainly like pre-con, like estimating and quantity surveying across the globe now, Irish fella. Just got the dog in him.
Yeah, right.
Again, never really come across him at first point of contact, but he was on ex-recruiters pod and listened to him and obviously heard about him in the industry, and it seems like he does very, very well for what he's done. And the brand he's built as well. Like he's known for pre-con. So talking about that niche, he's nailed it.
Yeah.
Mine would be the big man Lee Pollard at PNC Partners. He's kind of my competitor in the Brisbane market. Great guy. Like we've had lunch with him a couple of times. The level at which he talks, like he does high level finance roles with large corporates in Brisbane, and the way that he talks and articulates to their clients through their kind of personal branding and content online is extremely high level. It's not, your usual recruitment cliche bullshit.
Yeah.
Like he's talking their language. So I think that transition from our old kind of way of working where it was more like that to building Harwell, he's definitely someone that we took parts from of how we wanted to articulate and what our voice wanted to be. So good on you, Lee.
What about in terms of just last thing anyway, the like personal branding wise, who do you think's got an absolute banger?
Mix is good, to be fair. He's good. I think Blake Thompson is really good. Banks recruiter.
Yeah.
I think he's the way he comes across online is exactly how he is in person.
Yeah.
Can't be that good. None of them come to mind.
I guess even outside of recruitment, maybe. I guess it's recruitment specific, right? But like Jack Henderson, who had him on the pod, fucking weapon of a bloke.
Yeah.
His personal brand's massive, very controversial and divisive, but he kind of is that way as a bloke anyway, so he's not putting it on.
I think that's the answer. I don't think many people are doing it in recruitment. I think it's relatively untapped in the sense of what people are doing out there. Like you were one of the first people I noticed.
True.
Like back before you'd moved to the Goldie and we knew each other. Like you were one of the people I remembered in terms of the content being cool, different, and actually memorable. So yeah, maybe the answer's you.
Yeah. No, I was thinking like a Jack DeLosa or that Dan Martell. I've never seen much of their stuff as well, where it's a combination of business and mindset and sort of authenticity too. That's what I think really look out for. That's what I love about Dan Martell. He seems to be that guy who's like, he's just, what he's preaching out there, he actually does himself as well. Like you can't see many cracks in the content. It's repetitive too, which is, I guess, what I like, because that's what I think a lot of people are always looking for, that new book, new podcast, new thing, and they're like, let's throw that in. Where it's like, no, this is how you do it, mate. That's it. This won't change. That formula will not change. Yeah, like it's just set in stone, and that's why it works.
Yeah. The last one, how big is it? Oh no, sorry, that was an unfair question.
8 inches.
No, that's us, mate. Fuck, that's that had everything. That had rogue, high level, emotional.
We've gone everywhere with that. And I think if you listen to this, you now know where the future of recruitment is going.
Yeah. There's 2.5 hours there across 2 episodes
it's
to get your teeth into.
Yeah.
No, but
that was great. Thank you so much, guys.
No, thanks for coming on, mate. I said you're definitely a big friend of the pod and a friend of Harwell. There's quite similarities in terms of Huntsman and Harwell and how we try and position ourselves as business and as leaders. And that definitely not disappointing.
Yeah.
Good work. See you next week.
Let's go.